Yeah, great. Everybody ready? So we will go live. Welcome to our online meeting of RBKC's Licensing Subcommittee, and thank you for attending, and Happy New Year to everyone. My name is Councillor Janet Evans, and I will be chairing this meeting, which is being held via Microsoft Teams. I confirm that in light of the objections received, I visited the premises to check where the side doors were located. I was walking by and I seized the opportunity. I did not discuss the application with the applicant, and I am able to determine the application with an open mind. I assume no one objects to my visit? Okay, thank you. The committee for this meeting comprises Councillor David Lindsay, Councillor Toby Benton, and myself. Councillors, can you please introduce yourselves and confirm whether you have any interest to declare?
Councillor David Lindsay, Norland Ward. I have no interest to declare, and I have not been to the premises.
Thank you. Toby?
Councillor Toby Benton, representing Colville Ward, and I have no interest to declare.
Thank you. We are joined by Paul Phelan from the Council's licensing team. Our legal advisor is Heidi Titcomb. Also with us is our committee of officers, Nima Mahudin and Jerome Treherne and Tommy Hanmer. The case before us today is to consider whether to grant a license to Baba at 212 Fulham Road. I understand that we are joined by Mr. Mahir Kilik, the licensing consultant for the applicant, and Mrs. Egi Sevic, the applicant, and Lorraine Thompson from the Boltons Association. Do I see you, Lorraine? Yes. Yes. Okay. And Patricia DeMiddle, who is objecting to the application. Can you please confirm all these persons have joined the meeting remotely?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Before we start the virtual hearing, I need to outline a few ground rules. Please keep your microphones on mute until you are invited to speak. Please make sure mobiles are on silent. And please turn off cameras until you are asked to speak. Please do not use the chat function of the meeting, as it is important that the committee and all parties hear what you have to say. Thank you. Election of a substitute chair. The quorum for the meeting the committee is 2, and as there is a possibility that I may lose connection, I am nominating Councillor Lindsay to be appointed as a substitute chair. Councillor Benton, please can you second this nomination?
Seconded, Chair.
Councillor Benton seconds the nomination. Thank you. I confirm that Councillor Lindsay has been appointed substitute chair. Thank you, colleagues. Now for the procedure. For clarity, I will outline the procedure of the meeting, which has already been circulated with the papers. First, the licensing officer, Mr. Phelan, will give a brief outline of the application. Then the objector's case, Ms. Thompson will present her objections. Oh, sorry. My papers were mixed up, my pile here. Okay, I will then ask the applicant to present their submission. They will have up to a minimum of 10 minutes to do so. The committee members and our legal advisors will then ask questions of the applicant. We will then allow the objector to ask questions of the applicant for a maximum of 5 minutes each. Secondly, it will be Ms. Thompson's turn to present her objections. She will also have up to 10 minutes to do so. Ms. Demitol, will you be speaking?
If possible, yes. Thank you very much.
Okay, so you will also have up to 10 minutes to do so. The committee will then ask questions of Ms. Thompson and Ms. Demitol, followed by our legal advisor and the applicant, who will also have 5 minutes to do so. After this, we will ask our legal advisor, Heidi Titcomb, to ask questions about the possible conditions proposed. There will be no summing up, and the meeting will end. I would like to remind everyone that the committee has read the papers, which comprise the main pack, and an email from the Planning Authority, so there is no need to repeat their content. Let's get going. Mr. Phelan, please can you outline the case for us and advise if there has been any additional documentation received?
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everyone. Today we have an application from a Ms. Ege Jevic for the grant of a premises licence at Baba Restaurant 212 Fulham Road, London, SW10 9PJ. The premises previously traded under a premises licence, apologies, which lapsed on the 3rd of August 2023, when the previous licensee, SG Fulham Limited, went into liquidation. The lapsed licence permitted the performance of live music, the playing of recorded music, the provision of late night refreshment, and the sale of alcohol both on and off the premises. The new application seeks permissions for the sale of alcohol on and off the premises, the provision of late night refreshment, and extended opening hours. Full details of the proposed activities and hours are outlined on pages 5 and 6 of today's report, Chair. This application has attracted three representations in opposition, including one from the Boltons Association. The key concerns raised by residents include public nuisance caused by noise and antisocial behaviour, as well as public safety concerns. A summary of these objections can be found on page 11, with full copies attached to Appendix D. The licensing authority has received confirmation that the applicant has agreed to a series of conditions proposed by Noise and Nuisance to address concerns about the prevention of public nuisance. These include restrictions on operational noise, external door use, and kitchen extract times. In terms of temporary event notices, there were 3 submitted for the premises over the past year. There have been 9 noise complaints within the last 24 months. These complaints primarily relate to vibration issues caused by air conditioning units. Further details of these complaints are also available on page 12, Chair. As you said, Chair, the Planning Department have confirmed by way of an additional document that there are no restrictions or conditions relating to the premises that the subcommittee should be aware of, and that effectively concludes a summary of this application. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Phelan. Now for the applicant's case. Mr. Killick, can you please present your submissions and cover the objections received? You have 10 minutes. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. Before I start my submission, just would like to clarify that I'm connecting through a mobile connection. If I get cut off, I've got my colleague Aysen Aypek, who's also on this meeting, who may take over from my speech. I'm grateful for the submissions made by the licensing officer. It is correct that the premises had a premises license previously for the longer hours than we applied for. It is also correct that the license was elapsed due to previous ownership. Company has been gone through the liquidation. My client currently acquired the premises. It's been about 3 months. They substantially invested on this business. Over £400,000 investment has been made. It's a fine dining restaurant. I'm going to ask if you require the applicant, Ms. Ege Jevic, who is also online, to show through the camera to show what the premises look like. I outlined that this is a fine dining restaurant because the primary concerns received by the objectives by your licensing team through the objectives are around noise and nuisance caused by the air condenser units that are placed on the roof of the extended side of the business. They're on the ground floor where the restaurant is, and above them there are flats, and on top of the flat roof there are air condenser units that cause vibration and noise, especially noticeable after 1100 hours in the evening. What my client has done, he has disconnected the units, and he has
So hi, this is Ayşen Kilik speaking. I believe he lost his connection. Is it okay
Oh,
if it? Okay,
just
go.
sorry, just get back. Sorry, thanks, Ayşen, for popping in. I don't know how much you've heard, but I'll just begin again. What I was earlier saying, the applicant has instructed an acoustic technician. The air condensing units on the flat roof of the first floor, unfortunately causing vibration and nuisance, and the applicant has already disconnected those units and installed heaters at the premises. So this acoustic engineer has got recommendations such as the anti-vibration mounts to be installed and acoustic enclosure to be installed, because the main issue around the noise is caused by acoustic condenser units being turned on after 11 o'clock when the air conditions units are needed at the premises. The main concerns were around the noise. The applicant's hours, which are sought by the current applicant, are outlined in the agenda. We are currently asking committee to consider the hours. I'm just going to turn on the page. I'll refer you. Currently, as it stands, the hours on page 43 of the agenda, you will see copy of the updated operating hours, Sunday to Thursday until 11 o'clock, and Friday, Friday and Saturdays until midnight, and extra 30 hours for drinking up time. This is the current hours that members considering. There are a number of conditions has been proposed in operating schedule. Furthermore, I'm aware that yesterday we've been communicating a number of conditions which are accepted by the applicant. And those conditions are very important conditions in terms of prevention of public nuisance objective. Chair, before I conclude, I must draw your attention to the fact that we've not received any objections from police, who are responsible authorities for prevention of crime and disorder objective, and environmental health team, who are again professional authorities for the prevention of public nuisance. The applicant is willing to obviously work with the resident who live right above the premises, and he has already taken the steps to disconnect the units and already commissioned an acoustic engineer to address the concerns. So unless I don't want to repeat the conditions that has been proposed and been accepted, unless you want me to do so. We ask kindly committee to grant the application as amended, Chair. Unless I can assist you further, that's the application.
Well, I think our lawyer will be able to speak with you when we get to the conditions, so we don't have to do it here.
Thank you,
Do you-
Chair.
Okay, now, any questions from the committee? Councillor Lindsay?
Thank you so much for that. I just have one very general question. I said at the beginning that I hadn't been to the premises. How many covers are there, just so that I can get a feel for the size and so on of it? How many covers are there?
I'm just going to refer you to the plan that has been submitted on page 45 of the agenda. You will see the layout of the premises. There are tables and chairs always on the ground floor and the basement. Unfortunately, the copy I have is partially printed, but I'm estimating about 25. Perhaps I can ask Mrs. Chevik. Mrs. Chevik,
I think
could
if
you please
Mrs.
tell us?
Chevik can answer,
Yeah.
that would be very helpful.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's
on
on
the
the screen.
basement, we have,
Chair.
yeah.
On the ground floor, we have 40 covers, and on the basement, we have roughly 30 covers, but we are not using basement floor at the moment. It's not open, and on the ground.
But it will, yeah, but it will be open. But as
Yeah,
you
it
can
will
see
be
on the screen, shared screen, you will see the plan that I'm sure that will assist you.
No, I
Yeah.
can see that, but I just wanted to confirm that it was that order of magnitude. You're saying 30 and 40, so max 70 or
Yes,
thereabouts.
max 70, yeah.
Thank you for that. A question relating to the representations, and this goes on page the concerns that were made about the noise. What do you, as the owners, the proprietors, think was the cause that gave rise to the complaints of those who made the complaints? And I think particularly the air conditioning. Why? What was going on? And I know it was the air conditioning unit. What was going on? Can I just finish? What was going on that resulted in, over a couple of weeks in November and then again December, particularly November, on page 55, there were a number of complaints. What was giving rise to all those causes for complaint?
That's a very good question. Thank you very much. The air conditioning concerns are raised by the resident who lives right above, has been obviously acknowledged by the applicant. We have already committed to, instructing the acoustic engineers and addressing the concerns. But these problems were inherited from the previous tenants. These air condenser units are unfortunately not properly insulated, and we have what, as a preventative measure, what we've done, we've disconnected for these units to be turned on automatically. It was in November, it was on 2 or 3 occasions, because there was a thermostat unit. It was turned on without, our kind of authorization, or it was just turned on because of the thermostat. But the units being now disconnected to prevent that will turn on automatically. So to prevent disruption, or disturbance to the neighbors. We unfortunately inherited this problem, but we are dealing with the acoustic engineer who will ensure the units are serviced and maintained well, as well as proper noise vibration mount being installed, and noise, the acoustic enclosure being installed to prevent noise emanating from these air condenser units. I would like to particularly outline that these noise complaints are not linked to any of our customers or the way we manage the premises. This is very important. It's a operative issue which is being currently addressed by the applicant.
No, I understand that. It would be, I think, really helpful to Councillor Evans as chairing it and Councillor Benton, my colleague on this committee, but also to the to those people who have raised objections to have an understanding of the time scale that the engineer will be able to put this right, because it's now winter and there's possibly less need for, well, possibly I say, less need for air conditioning. But in the late spring, when it gets warmer, and in the summer, it's really important that if things are warm, that the air conditioning is effective and does what it's meant to do, but is also not causing a disturbance to local residents.
Yes, absolutely. The time scale we've been informed will take about 2 to 3 weeks time to get the acoustic enclosure being manufactured. It's specifically getting manufactured for the site, and installation, I assume it will take another, organizing the installation will probably take another week. So we're looking around 4 to 5 weeks. And as I said, the conditions currently are disconnected, and it will be once the units are operational, we will have the acoustic enclosures being installed. We will not be using those units before the acoustic enclosures being installed.
Good.
So that will be a kind of an assurance to you members if you are minded to grant the application.
No, I hear that. So that would mean that if an officer were to come on the 28th of February, which is a generous, I think, 6 weeks or so, that it would all have been done by then. Would that be?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you for that. Chairman, that's it. I've asked my questions.
Okay, we'll go to Councillor Benton. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Chair. 1.5, because half of that has just been covered, thanks to my colleague, Councillor Lindsay. Just to follow up, first, just to follow up on that, is I mean, would it be possible for either us or even the local objectors or just residents to see any of the details of the any sort of acoustic assessments that have been done? I just really thinking it would put some people's mind at ease to be included in that process. Is that something that's possible?
Again, a very good question. Once the acoustic enclosure is installed with the anti-vibration mounts, the engineer will provide a noise impact assessment, which is a process carried out by having access to the nearest resident, in our case, the first floor flat, to assess the impact. So there will be a noise impact assessment done before the system are operational, and we are happy to submit copy of that assessment to the noise team or licensing team prior to getting those units actively used.
Okay, great. That's great to hear. My other question is, since it has been sort of mentioned that residents, well, they'd like to be involved in a dispersal plan, but particularly would like to mirror condition 30 of the existing or the previous license, which really is incorporating recommendations, and that seems to be the thrust of what objections residents have been asking for. How do you feel about that? Have you looked at that existing condition, and is that something you'd be willing to carry through?
I'm looking at the condition number 30 on page 23 for the previous license, which was lapsed. Number 30 is, it begins with the premises shall not be used under the terms of this license until the dispersal and external management plan has been submitted to a Borough of Kensington and Environment Love. And well, we are happy to send a copy of a dispersal policy and external management plan, but I'm not too sure really what has been implied by external management plan. But we are happy to be absolutely clear and enforceable. We're happy to have we already have a copy of a dispersal plan. We happy to submit those to a licensing team, but not necessarily the police, because
Sorry, it has been submitted already.
Yeah.
is it
I sent
okay?
it to the, yeah.
Okay, well-
Councillor Benton, sorry, it's Heidi Titcombe, legal advisor to the committee. If I could just hopefully assist. I think the condition you were referring to was condition 13 about and if I can read it to everybody, it's on page 21 of the committee papers.
Oh,
And
yeah, you're right. Yeah.
and that says all sales of alcohol to patrons on the premises.
I beg your
after-
pardon, madam. Thank you.
No, actually it was, well, it's, I mean, that may
After
be
8
another
o'clock.
concern, but actually it was, it's because there is a part of the pack, terms of dispersal plan, interim dispersal plan conditioned with the agreement of impacted residents associations, and residents are seeking to mirror condition 30 of the previous
Sorry,
license.
sorry, that's fine.
So that's what I was responding to, which was possibly not correct or not clear.
No, I can confirm that in
yeah.
fact the applicants have
Yeah.
in their operating schedule, they have offered that condition. So they are asking, they are going to mirror the dispersal and external management plan.
Excellent. No further questions from me.
Thank you, Councillor Benton. Now, I would like to have a chat with you about the deliveries. First of all, your deliveries that come to the restaurant and where they go, what time, etc., which door they will go in. And also, can we have a chat about home deliveries? Do you use Uber Eats or Deliveroo, and how does that work? Where will they collect the food from?
May I ask the applicant to step in? Ege, could you tell us, would you be doing any online deliveries, online orders through the online ordering platforms?
No, we are not doing any online deliveries.
Will you be doing any in the future?
We may, yeah.
Okay, thank you. What do you do in terms of your supplies? Like if you get in for, i.e. like, you know, your meats or your the products or drinks, currently are they being delivered on the side road or the main road? Which door do you use?
They're being delivered by the main door. All the suppliers have their keys, and they deliver them from the front door.
Okay, grateful, thank you. And I believe, Madam Chairman, the condition number 18 partially will address you in terms of, and then number 19, in terms of the deliveries and the general waste being taken out from the premises, like deliveries shall not take place between 11 p.m. till 8 a.m. So there is a condition to control noise which may occur because of the deliveries. So there are, I will say, there are sufficient measures being proposed within the operating schedule to avoid any disturbance through the deliveries made to the premises. And currently we don't have any online deliveries, as you heard from the applicant, but we may in the future. So we will revisit operating schedules if needed. Because it's a fine dining restaurant, I'm really doubting if there will be any deliveries, but the operating may change in the future. So we want to keep that, possibility open.
Okay, thank you very much. Any further questions from the committee? Any questions from our legal advisor?
No, madam.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Thompson and Ms. Medal, do you have any questions of the applicant? You have 5 minutes.
No, I don't have any questions.
So we will now go for the objectors.
I mean,
Sorry?
I just have a question. I don't know if it's the right time. This is Patricia de Middle. I, as a neighbor within the Fulham Road, I would like to ask, and I really appreciate the change of timing within this process. I understand that you're proposing not to smoke in the premises, in front of the premises, or also on both sides of the premises. How are you protecting us, which is happening, that the patrons will smoke next door, which is then a problem because this is my home, and then people sit down on the porch and smoke actually on the neighbors, which is the concern.
Can I, sorry, it's Heidi Titcombe here. At the moment, the premises have not restricted smoking at the front of the premises. The committee may well ask for a condition to limit numbers at the front, but as I understand it, and the applicants will correct me if it's not the case, I don't believe they are suggesting that people can't smoke at the front. Could you just clarify exactly where your premises is, because that would help us in terms
Sure.
of conditions.
Sure. I mean, I'm just referring to the point 8 of the proposals that I received yesterday, which they say they cannot smoke immediately outside if they will go on the houses next. So I am on 206 Fulham Road. So
206.
It's three houses after that. And yes,
Madam Chairman, if I may assist members, I mean, Aishan, could you help us? There is a condition, I believe, we proposed to limit the number of individuals smoking outside.
Yes, we have limited it to 4 at a time, and only on the front door, not the side door. There is no staff or the patrons will be smoking on the side door. The main door is limited to 4 at a time.
Thank you. As your legal advisor has correctly addressed you, currently there is no license and currently there are no restrictions for individuals who are smoking. And I need to mention this very important point. We are a fine dining restaurant, and I will say 90% of our customers are mindful about smoking, so they are non-smokers. We get individuals obviously who may want to smoke, and we will limit those numbers to a maximum of 4 individuals at any one time. That will be an assurance to you members.
Yes, so just to clarify then, for Ms. Medal, people can smoke at the front of the premises, outside the front, directly outside the front. They can't smoke in Seymour Walk. And the restriction at the moment, and this may change once we discuss the conditions, the suggestion is that that smokers will be limited to 4 from 10 o'clock each day, which would mean that before that, anyone could smoke anywhere outside the front. They just can't smoke in Seymour Walk. So that might be a bit further away from your property if this is 212.
Yes, but I do not understand why Seymour Walk is more protected than just the neighbors. Because I mean, I can assure you that I mean the restaurant just opened 3 months ago, and it's new and it's starting. I still have people that smoke next door, and also it's a matter of health and safety because I have 4 children. It's not nice to have at night people just outside of your home, straight outside of your house. You open your door and you have people smoking or full of cigarettes. So it is, I mean, I just don't understand why Seymour Mork is more protected than the direct neighbors. And we are also a residential part, Fulham Road, and there are families. And I can tell you, it's really not, it's quite frightening actually to open the door and have people just in front. So I would like some protection in there if possible. Because
yeah, from a legal point of view, just to clarify for everyone, under the previous license, there was a condition that people couldn't smoke in Seymour Walk, and the applicants are simply replicating that on this application. In terms of smokers, unfortunately, because people are not able to smoke inside of premises, they have to be able to smoke outside somewhere. And I appreciate that a lot of people think it's not a nice habit, but they do need to enable smokers to be able to be outside somewhere. It's for the committee and the applicants to discuss whether there are any other better arrangements. So, Madam Chair, I don't know whether you wanted to raise any questions about that.
Well, I'm thinking the more you restrict smoking in front of their restaurant, the more they will go down the street and stand in front of Miss de Middel's premises, and that we cannot control. We can only control what is in front of this premises. Am I correct?
Yes, I mean, so that's a good point because obviously residents live in different, the objectors live in different roads and they will have a different perspective. So the suggestion's been made that smokers outside should just be limited to 4, but you've raised a good point. If that's really too few, then there's nothing to stop them from going further down the road. So members might want to consider whether they'll increase that number to
That's
outside.
what I'm thinking. Because we can't control what goes on down the street. We can only control what's in front of this restaurant.
Yes. So if you look at the plan, so if the members still want no smokers in Seymour Walk, and 212 is at the corner there. I mean, it is open to the committee and the applicants to consider whether you should have a few more smokers directly outside, which can be controlled. Whilst it's not ideal, it is then 3 doors away from Miss Medell.
It might make sense to make it 6 in front of the restaurant so that they're allowed to stand there and they won't move down in front of Mrs. de Middel's premises, in front of her house. We want to contain it, actually.
Madam Chairman, we're happy for the suggestions made. However, you know, I don't want to give you like 100% assurance, but I doubt we will ever have more than 4 or 5 individuals outside the premises who will be smoking. I mean, our clientele is not type of people who smokes, but we just having that because pass and trade will obviously affect, and individuals may want to smoke, but as it stands, current customers are majority of them are non-smokers. Be happy to have a restriction of maximum 6 individuals, even if it was to be a 4. We will actively monitor, the management and the floor manager will actively monitor to ensure those individuals not causing any disturbance or nuisance to our neighbors. So there will be a responsible management who will be monitoring the situation outside.
Okay, that's a matter then for the committee to consider, I think.
Mhm. Yes. We're just looking to make the rules or conditions workable. We don't want to have further problems. That's the point, really. Ms. Middell, did you want to add anything?
Yes, just as a maybe as a suggestion, if there was maybe an ashtray near the premises, maybe they wouldn't throw the cigarettes on the
Exactly,
floor. That could
exactly.
help.
It's
We're happy
already
to
on the
provide-
plan. We will provide ashtrays outside.
Okay.
There is a trash bin outside the premises.
I hear that, and that's great. I think that residents around would really appreciate it if there could be a sweep so that cigarette butts that have been dropped are regularly picked up by the restaurant.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying that I think that should be a requirement, but it may be. But I just give that to you as a personal observation for one who's sitting on the committee.
Yes, that is actually, that should be good practice. So I think that the applicant should sweep outside every evening and especially before closing. So there are no cigarette butts or any other food or whatever.
If I can assist, councillors, they have offered a condition. It's condition 8 on the draft conditions list, that after the premises closes to patrons, the area immediately outside the premises shall be cleared of litter and other refuse connected with the operation of the premises.
Mhm.
And I think they've also, I think they may have offered another condition. I will check that. Yes, they are condition 26. The
Mhm.
front of the premises shall be kept tidy at all times and be swept at the closure of the premises.
Right, good. It's to everyone's interest, of course, to the restaurant as well. Okay, can we now go and hear the objector's case? Ms. Thompson, can you
Hello.
please? Yes, Ms. Thompson, are you here?
Yep, I'm here.
How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you, Janet?
Thank you. Can you please present your objections?
Yep, so I'm here representing the Boltons Association today, and also have been in exchange with Seymour Walk Residents Association as well on behalf of Nigel Lax. I've also, should say, visited the premises and was very warmly welcomed and had a good discussion on Friday last week. I've been involved in the previous 2 licenses at that site, and I mainly work on licensing for the Boltons Association that affects the beach area, so the whole strip from the top to the bottom. And really, our objection is just to make sure that we keep everything consistent across all of the licensed premises that are in that area. As you know, our request was to mirror the dispersal and management plan that was put in place for seasons. There was countless hours, months and days put into getting that together. I recognise that this applicant wants to let the music licence lapse, so that's fine. But in our opinion, what Seasons had put in place was pretty robust, and that's why we were asking for the mirroring of that management and dispersal plan, which we came to with the lawyers of Seasons and also RBKC, Keith Mahaffey, Noise and Nuisance, the whole team. So that's really, you know, what the sum and substance of our objection was. If I may, just in addition to that, having listened to the conversation this morning, we also know, and I hope I should have said this at the beginning, we wish for the restaurant to be a huge success. It's a site which is very challenging, and we've seen many owners and different types of offerings in there. So we sincerely wish that this is a huge commercial success and benefits our area, but we also, of course, want it to be balanced with living peacefully with the residents who are there as well. Match day, I briefly mentioned that when I visited, so Chelsea Football Club match days, there are some restrictions that need to be in place for that, which is just about managing the great crowds that are there. I would say that when it comes to why the smoking was banned in Seymour Walk, it was related back to the terrace parklet that was put in place at Rosso Pomodoro a few years ago, when cyclists, not cyclists, what do you call them, the delivery guys on the mopeds and so on, came to congregate there. And so Seymour Walk became a very, very neat place for all the Deliveroo, Uber Eats fellas to come and congregate while they were waiting for their next instruction. And the smoking was just excessive, but it was part of the terrace parklet at Rosso Pomodoro, as well as people coming out late at night and congregating in Seymour Walk as well. So just a bit of context. Same with the smoking. There's been a number of issues in Park Walk with staff and visitors to premises on the terrace parklets there, smoking in front of the mansion block that is there and causing particular problems for the smoke drifting in the windows as well. So anything that can be done to help that would be greatly appreciated. My one concern would just be if there is going to be future Deliveroos and Uber Eats kind of guys coming. We have had over the past 3-4 years mammoth problems, whether it was at the Chelsea Creperie, whether it was at another spot where the drivers tend to congregate and they use it as a meeting place. Janet, you'll be aware that you'll be aware that there's a lot going on. There was a lot going on with Zap recently up at Buna Gardens. So we've had that in that area of the beach. Down at Chelsea Creperie opposite the hospital was a massive zone for delivery drivers to congregate when they didn't have any orders. So I think that just making sure if the restaurant chooses to do that in the future, we would want to know that that congregation, which is intimidating as well as noisy, is not allowed to happen there. And the only other thing about the smokers, and I recognise how difficult this is just to stop congregation at the front so that safe passage, particularly on the pavement for people who may be disabled, prams, buggies, anything like that, especially folks coming from the hospital, that there's always a space for safe passage there. So I think that's really, the sum and substance of where we are at with our thinking. But I appreciate the efforts that the restaurant is going to assuage much of what we've asked for.
Thank you very much. Mrs. D'Amido, do you want to speak?
Yes, thank you very much. I join what colleagues said around Baba. I think they are very nice, and I really wish them the best. So I just want to make sure that we straighten before it starts with later hours and drinks, which is a concern. I mean, as I mentioned on my hearing, my text, the problem is when during the nicest season, and I already have problems with even Maggie's that is far away. People, when they cannot stay in the premises, they sit down on the porches and they keep on drinking after the after hours. So I understand there are things that cannot be checked, but as for me the importance is as there's going to be someone, I think, outside from the pretty often, and at the moment there are quite people from the restaurant just outside, just checking, just to make sure that people do not sit on the neighbor's porch and do not keep on drinking once they close and they start after hours and smoke. So it is just, I don't know how it can be structured legally, but it's just, or at least as a good neighboring, because it's extremely intimidating having small kids and I walk the dog at night, just to have people on the porch, and they often they are drunk, they leave glasses, and it's really disturbing. So adding from Maggie's now another place where there's going to be music and drinks at night, it's just, I fear it's going to seriously deteriorate our quality of living and safety. So that's that's the big concern for me, my family, and other neighbors within Fulham Road that I've spoken to, but I represent myself.
Thank you very much. Any questions now from the committee? Can I start with Councillor Lindsay?
Patricia, I just wonder if you could expand a little. On the one hand, you wish Bada every success. On the other, you express acute concerns about some of the points you made latterly, antisocial and so on behaviour. I just want to try and tease out a little bit more what your feelings really are.
Of course. So at the moment, consider that this premises just opened 3 months ago, so I cannot say much. What I can tell you at the moment, and I've been living here for 12 years, is just Maggie's that is much further away is already a nuisance because they just close and they go around. So I am just very concerned that if there's something added, it's true that it's a fancy restaurant at the moment, and we get on well, but I don't know if we grant them just being able to sell you grant them, sorry, to sell drinks and open so late, what it's going. So my concern is the late opening and the drinks so late, but because then they will go out. So as a restaurant and as a normal restaurant, I wish them the best. I am concerned about because it's a big place. I mean, the basement is big, and if it goes totally, it's bigger than Maggie's effectively. So I don't know if we're opening a Pandora box here. I don't know, and it's concerning. So that's my.
Okay, I'm going to say, first of all, thank you to you, but to the applicant, I hope that you've heard what Patricia's comments are, and maintaining good neighbourly relations on an ongoing basis is really important. I don't think I need to say anything more than that, but I hope you've both heard what I've said.
Thank you.
Chair, may I also respond in that point as well?
Yes, you may.
One of the things, so, you know, glad to hear what came previously from the neighbour there, but one of the key hot buttons is the level of enforcement by the Royal Borough as well. So the licensing conditions that are given are one thing. The other thing is to make sure that the conditions are met, you know, 24/7. So one of the key challenges in that area, it's very busy. If Maggie's is not, you know, adhering to its license, we need some enforcement in there. But that's what I would also request, is not just the good neighbourly relations by the restaurant owner, which is paramount, but also that there is a proactive level of enforcement in what is one of the busiest areas for commercial properties and residential properties living side by side in our area.
Thank you. Councillor Benton, do you have any questions? Councillor Benton?
Sorry,
Okay.
I had a snafu. Yeah, just a quick one. It's just, I mean, about noise and nuisance, about disturbance from people congregating on the street and so forth. It looks like there are quite a handful of pubs around the area. Is there any reason to, even with the previous operators, I mean, what leads you to believe that a significant amount is coming from this site? Just as I don't really know the area. If I look at it, I'm seeing there's a King's Arms, there's Hollywood something or other, places which are more alcohol focused. So I'm just wondering if you feel that this site, Baba, or the previous operators are actually contributing to a huge amount of that. Like, what's the evidence? Or well, not even evidence. Like, why do you think that?
I think the idea is that this is one of the latest licenses on the beach area. So we know that we have a constant battle. If you speak with Laura Jo McGann about the goat, which is the one opposite the King's the King's Arms, that's our constant battle. We have I can tell you, like last summer, people were coming at 5 a.m, dancing on the tables that were outside. You know, this has all been recorded by RBKC licensing. So the issue is in this whole area of the beach, which is about late night licensing, if you don't keep a lid on it, it will very quickly become well known as a place to go where you get away with drinking late, drinking out in the street, bring your buddies. You know, it's it's a throwback from how it's always been at this part of RBKC. This beach area has always been known as Party City, and
Yeah.
you know, it's a lovely place to stay, but when it gets out of control, it's not so nice. It is threatening, it is intimidating. You know, when people are intoxicated, all we're trying to make sure is that anyone who has got a very late license is in control of all the patrons that are visiting those sites. And that really, councillor, is the nub of the issue. No one's trying to, you know, roll back the beach, but we know, you know, I've been doing this for 20 years. We absolutely know when there's a tipping point, such as we saw in Park Walk with all the terrace parklets about 2 years ago.
That's well understood. I mean, unless our legal officer can correct me, I mean, an issue that will arise from this sort of thing is that we don't have an intensification policy in this borough. Other boroughs do, but we don't. So we won't actually be able to rule on intensification as a reason for. I mean, this is just a piece of information which may or may not be useful in future hearings. But I do very much take your point. Obviously, we just have to take this application in isolation, and part of that is just a policy issue. But I do very much take your point. And of course, intensification issues are the kind of thing that I'd probably recommend you take up with ward councillors in future.
No, I understand. I just make one, if I may just add on to that as well. We wish Baba to be there for 20 years, 30 years, however long, but should they not be able to be there any longer, we don't want a license in place that has then gets an operator who is less neighbour friendly as Baba are. So
absolutely,
you know, we have to be careful. This is why the seasons work was so brutal, to try and make sure that for future reference, which is where we are today, the license conditions stand the test of time.
Of course, very well understood. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Benton. Yes.
Chair, I confirm we don't have a cumulative impact policy. Councillor Benson is right, but you can consider negative impacts, but each application does need to be considered on its own merits.
Absolutely.
And because, I mean, there may be problems with Maggie's, but that's not the responsibility of this operator. So we do have to determine this application on the basis of how they are going to run it.
Yes. What I wanted to ask the objectors, first of all, the fact that you have to have a meal at this restaurant in order to get alcohol makes it very different from the Goat, from Hollywood Arms, from Maggie's especially. Would you accept that?
I just want to, you know, reiterate, we don't have any problem with a license being granted as long as the conditions are pretty, you know, are the same as seasons. So we have no objection to whatever they do in there, as long as they, you know, they meet those conditions. Yes, because food does mitigate against intoxication, as you know, of course. And Maggie's has a much later license. So I'm wondering at what time they come down the street. Are these people who aren't admitted? Are they people who have just left the club and they're coming down the street at 3 a.m.? They can also be people. They can also be people who have told their friends that they're leaving Maggie's right now. You come from Mezcalito at Old Brompton Road, and we'll meet you on there because we've got a bottle of wine in our hands, kind of thing. So it's a fast-moving world that we live in, and people look for the late license, whatever it is, and they look for their crowd wherever they are as well. So I wouldn't want to just nail it on one premise, you know,
Okay,
for
because we are, as our solicitor said, we only can judge it.
correct.
Yes, so you
Yeah.
realize that, of course.
Yeah, but I think the general point is if you have a terminal time of midnight, then the responsibility of BABA is to make sure that all their customers have dispersed and are not sitting on seats, you know, on the porch, or they're not, you know, crowding the pavement, or they're not causing noise. I mean, I think that's what the license is saying, is that at 2400 or 0100, if it is, you know, there is no racket coming from the place.
Yeah, well, they have reduced their hours from before.
Yeah,
From seasons, which is a good sign, I
Yep.
think.
It is.
And so it won't be that late. And I think Heidi, can you correct me? So we said Sunday to Thursday, they stop serving at 11, correct?
Yes. So they're not asking for the extra hours until 1 o'clock and 1:30 on Friday and Saturdays. That's the difference with this application.
And I think Friday and Saturday, they're only asking midnight to close the bar, and they can leave. They can leave. They went from previous hours to 12 and 12:30. So
Yep.
they have reduced, which is a good sign for the neighbors, I think. Of
Yeah,
course,
I mean, there's one issue that that there keeps being reference to seasons conditions, but those seasons conditions are not in the papers. And I need to point this out. The committee can only determine the application based on the papers before them. I haven't seen the seasons license. I'm not sure that the applicant has seen the seasons license.
There was something sent by email last night, the 15th of January, 1702.
Yeah, that was that. All I was doing there, because there's lots of duplication in the operating schedule. I was picking up the conditions that in one place, basically in one document. The conditions that they're offering as part of the license, and any conditions that I saw in the representations. But what I can't do is take conditions from another license if I haven't got it, or it hasn't been mentioned in the papers, or the applicant hasn't been considered it either and discussed it. In the papers, we can see that noise nuisance have assessed the application, and the conditions they wanted are on page 41. So they are the guardians of noise and nuisance, basically, and they're the conditions that they suggested. The police would normally ask for conditions in relation to Chelsea football days, but I haven't seen any of those conditions. They haven't been offered by the applicant, but they haven't been requested by anybody. So they're also not in the they're not being considered at the moment. But I notice in your explanation you mention those.
I also mentioned it in our objection, so I was very clear in the objection that we wanted to mirror those conditions.
Well, not on the not mirror the. The point is, everybody has to be see the conditions that we're talking about. So we all have to be clear what we're talking about, so that we can have an open discussion with the applicants and the objectors. So they're not here at the moment.
All right. I did include a link on our representation to the seasons application.
But the link is not a document. We don't. So basically, it's not for the council to gather information. The council just simply has to consider the documents that are before it. So if people want conditions, then they should be in the papers. I don't know, Paul, is there any way you can help us with this matter? The licensing officer.
Sorry, Heidi, I just had to stop sharing there. Can you just put the question to me again, please? I understand that there's.
Yes. Miss Thompson, in her submission, is saying that she wants to. She wanted the football conditions on, but they're not actually in her objection. But she's referred to a link, and what she has asked is that she wants to mirror the conditions on the season's applications. Well, the season license isn't before us. I suspect the applicant hasn't seen it, but he can confirm that. So we're in difficulties in looking at this matter, and it would be a late document now. But can you help us what particular conditions Ms. Thompson's referring to from the
I can tell
season's
you
license?
it's point 24 on the season's license. It says on Chelsea FC home match days when the kickoff time is 1500 hours or earlier, the sale of alcohol shall not commence before 1100. And I believe that's standard across all the premises on the beach. So
Well, as I say, the police haven't requested it in this case. So on the previous license, if perhaps we look at it this way, on page 22, if someone could get that page 22 up.
Sorry, Heidi, I was just attempting to pull up the license for seasons. I'll share the screen now.
that's what I was going to say. That's what I'm going through just now.
Well, I'll just look at the existing conditions on page 22. Because this is in the papers, okay? So I'm trying to deal with things that are in the papers firstly. So page 22 is the existing license. And you've got two conditions there, condition 24 and condition 25. It says on Chelsea home match days, when the kickoff time is 3 o'clock or earlier, the sale of alcohol shall not commence before 11. And the second condition is on Chelsea home match days, no tables and chairs shall be placed in the front of the external area before 2 o'clock. Can I ask the applicant and her licensing consultant whether those conditions, whether they are happy to agree those conditions, or was there some reason they left them off?
Again, can you please answer this question? Are you okay with these two conditions?
I mean, if you wanted a moment to consider this, because obviously this has come out of the evidence today. I mean,
Well, Heidi, what I'd like to do then is that we finish with the objector's case. And we take a 2-minute break before going into the conditions where they can consult.
Okay. And can we also ask Miss Thompson about the other condition she particularly wanted from seasons?
Which one was that? Sorry.
Miss Thompson, you mentioned those two. Was that the only two? You also, I think, referred to the dispersal and external management plan.
Yeah. I think this is it here. This whole document you have here is what we were saying, the effort that was put in by RBKC with seasons all those the years ago, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. We thought this was a great document, and we were just
so if I can refer you then to condition 30. Just so we've got it all clear. Condition 30 is, I think, the other condition you referred to, is the dispersal and external management plan. So that is the one that was on the original license, and it's acceptable to the responsible authorities.
Yeah.
Is that the one we're all talking about? They've offered that as a condition.
That's the one I was talking about, was if that's the one that was received and accepted by everybody, then that's the one that we were hoping to go with.
Okay, well that has been proposed by them.
And is that what came? That's what came last night, I think, isn't it?
No. So basically, what came last night?
Oh yeah, it was your summary.
Was simply a summary of all the conditions that had already been offered. Okay. And at the end of it, I've put in some conditions that the members may or not
Yeah,
may
I saw
want
that,
or
yeah.
not. Okay, I don't want to confuse the
I
situation.
know.
So I just want to make sure we're all talking from the
Yeah.
same hymn sheet
Yeah,
when it
yeah.
comes to conditions. So those are the three conditions that you basically want really
Yeah.
from the seasons. Well, those three conditions have been circulated in the papers, so
Right.
that's fine. So if we have the adjournment, we can get the applicants to consider those football conditions whilst the adjournment takes place, and the members will then come back and hear what they have to
Okay.
say.
Heidi, do you have any questions for the objectors besides that?
No,
Okay.
it was only regarding
And
that. Thank you.
Does the applicant have any questions for the objectors?
We don't have any questions, and I just would like to clarify, we are happy to accept all three conditions mentioned here. With regarding to the match and the dispersal policy, they are all okay with us.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Heidi, are you happy with that?
Yeah, so if the applicants are happy with that, then members may not feel they need an adjournment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, applicant, do you feel you need an adjournment or you're happy with this?
I'm happy with this.
Yeah, and we are happy with this as the agent.
Okay, thank you. So now we'll move on to our conditions session. At this stage, I'd like to ask Heidi Titcomb, our legal advisor, to deal with any queries she may have, particularly regarding the draft conditions.
Yes, thank you. So I just want to be clear. The applicants have, as part of their application, have basically mirrored a number of the conditions which were on the lapsed license. And the document that I circulated yesterday was simply bringing together all the conditions that they have proposed, but I've put some of them in more legally binding terminology. And at the end of the document, there are some conditions that the members may or may not want. So I'm directing all these queries to primarily the applicants, but if the objectors have any comments, they are welcome to comment also at the same time. It's probably easier to do it that way. So if we look at this document, condition 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 are the ones that have been offered by the applicants. Condition 9, the applicant simply said that staff shall not be permitted to smoke on the pavement outside the 2 doors in Seymour Walk at any time. I have asked them whether it's appropriate that that includes customers. So could you please comment on that?
I have sent an email yesterday. We've gone through all the conditions. If you allow me, I will just clarify 3 of them. The rest is all good.
Okay.
On the 13th, you suggested the extractor can we add so we can use that condition as the kitchen extract and all air conditioning units shall be switched off at 23 each day.
Yes, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, number 10, sorry. I believe the front external area is self-defined, so no need to mark on the plan. So we can amend this as no food or drink shall be consumed in the front external area between 22 hours until the premises open to the public the following day.
Yes, that's clear. I mean, under the previous license, they probably had a slightly different plan where they were referring to that.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
but I don't think there needs to be a mark on that. It's clear enough. And the 27th, alcohol shall only be served to customers taking a table meal and for consumption by such person as ancillary to such meal, like at any time. No need to restrict this with timing after these hours. It will be always like that in the premises anyways.
So sorry, could you just repeat that? Because if you look at condition 13 of the license, that is your standard restaurant condition. It had 13.
Yeah, the kitchen extracts that one.
No, 13 of the original license, which is on page 21.
1 second, please. I'm not down that
Yeah.
page.
There it is. It's on screen now. It's number 13, where it says all sales of alcohol to patrons on the premises after 8 o'clock each day shall be ancillary to the provision of a substantial table meal, including
we don't need to restrict it with the timing. It is always going to be ancillary to the food.
Right, okay. And can I just ask you, so that will apply anytime, but why should it exclude the basement? Because I understand the basement is a restaurant as well.
It wasn't exclude the basement.
Okay, so I will remove those last 3 words from that condition.
Yes.
So you're happy with condition 13. Okay, that's lovely.
Okay.
And did you have any other comments?
No, that's all. All the conditions are good with us. We are happy with the conditions.
Okay. So I just want to make sure in terms of the possible additional conditions.
Heidi, can I come back on one of the ones you've just mentioned?
Yes.
Just let me get number 9 on your revised draft possible conditions. Staff and customers.
Yep.
But we talked earlier about deliverers, whether they are from Deliveroo or wherever. I'm sure that our residents would be they would be grateful if neither staff nor customers nor Deliveroo, for example, deliverers would be permitted to smoke in the pavement outside the area. So
yes,
I'm just extending it slightly to the benefit of the residents.
Yes, that's a good idea. That's a very good idea.
Yes, that's a very good idea. So could the applicants confirm whether they'd be happy for that?
Yes, please. Yeah, we can add the delivery stuff as well to the condition.
But it would be up to them to supervise that, correct?
Yes, they would have to supervise.
Obviously, yeah, the floor manager will be supervising it.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. So they have to supervise their staff and their customers to make sure they do not smoke outside on Seymour Walk. Okay, so I'll amend that. So if we could just go back to, so I'm tidying up the CCTV and the Challenge 25. And I'm tidying up the training conditions and also the log. And then if we go to, when it comes to ID verification, it should be the same as for the Challenge 25, and that relates to condition 31. So if we just go to the additional conditions, so 33 relates to alcohol being served to people who are seated at tables by waiter and waitress service. Does that work for you, the applicants, on both the ground and basement floor?
Yes, it does. As I said, I've gone through all the conditions. My client is aware of the conditions and we are happy with your draft.
Happy with that, okay. It hasn't been mentioned, but do you have any tables and chairs outside the front for your premises?
On the glance, it is visible that we have 2 tables in the front, and it's I believe we've mentioned like if I'm not wrong, after 10 there will be no serving outside.
Right, okay. Because the front is not part of your licensed area, because if we look at the plans, I think the front
It is on the licensed area. It is on the ambited area.
Let me just see it on the plan. So
See,
where is the front?
2 tables in the front. Yes,
Oh,
there,
Oh,
yeah.
there.
you are.
Okay. Yes, thank you
Yeah.
very much. Thank you for that's very good. So you're agreeing to everything, and the members will consider whether they want to put 4 or 6 smokers to the front of the premises.
Heidi, can we go over also the rubbish? Can you go to
Yes.
the condition about rubbish?
Yes, the condition for rubbish is the one they're mirroring from the previous license, which is condition 14. And it's the standard rubbish condition, so I wasn't suggesting any amendments to that. It's condition 14 on the main license.
Okay, because it says rubbish, including bottles or cans, shall not be deposited outside the premises, and refuse collection shall not take place between 11 o'clock. So if the rubbish shall not be deposited outside, what can you clarify what they will do with the rubbish and when they will put it out for collection?
I think that's addressed to the applicant, that question.
To the applicant, please.
Yeah.
Again, did you get the question? Can you answer that, please?
We have an agreement with the waste collection, so they collect the rubbish from outside.
And what times do they collect?
Various times. I don't know the time, to be honest.
No, but the chair is asking whether this condition works for your rubbish collections. So it's basically saying you can't put it out from 11 o'clock at night until you've actually suggested until 7 in the morning, between 7 in the morning.
Ama alamazlar ki. 8'de we close at 11 in the evening, and I guess they collect it around 4 a.m.
Well, you would be in breach of this condition if that was the case.
Yeah,
No, that's
I will. So I will speak to them, and I will ask them to collect after 8 then.
Well, you've actually proposed between 7, or are you saying 8?
Yeah,
I think it was a condition you agreed with environmental health. Let me just check on page. Yes. Yes, it's a condition that you agreed on page 41 of the papers with Mr. Matt McIlroy.
She was saying 8 in the morning. She's gonna arrange them to pick up 8 in the morning, because there is no like a certain time right now, as I understand from her. So she is gonna try to arrange it either 8 in the morning or 10 in the morning. She will get it sorted with the waste collectors.
So all that condition says is that between the hours of 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. you can't put the rubbish out. But if you want to put it out at 8 a.m. you can do it.
Again, is that okay?
Yes, I would suggest that you have a chat with the company that you use and tell them what time suits you and what time suits your license, just so it doesn't disturb anyone.
Yes.
Okay.
And it also works with your working hours, okay?
Okay, that's fine.
So it must comply. If you're offering that condition, it must comply with that condition.
Exactly.
Yeah. So going back to the end of the draft conditions, on condition 39 is about a liaison meeting. The members often ask the operator to arrange a liaison meeting periodically. I don't know whether you are happy to have 1 or 2 a year. Could you let the members know what's preferable for you?
Ege
Well-
Hanım, senede 1 ya da 2 kere etrafta yaşayan insanlarla birlikte bir davetiye koyup bir toplantı düzenlemenizi istiyorlar senede birkaç kere. Residentların bir şikayetleri var mı? Onları dinleyip ona göre kendi operasyonunuzu düzenlemeniz için. Buna ne diyorsunuz?
Yes, of course. Once or twice. It will be good for me as well.
Okay, so Chair, I don't know whether you had any comment on that.
Yes, I just think it should be explained how that works. Can you please tell them? Because they will be under a duty then to notify the residents. And I think it would be important to notify the Boltons Association and the Seymour Muse Association. And those are the people that they should speak to and arrange a meeting and do it in writing. Does
And
that make sense?
The Seymour Association, is it?
Is it called Seymour Muse or Seymour Walk Association?
Seymour Walk
Seymour
Residents
Walk Association.
Association, so
Thank you.
SWRA.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So just clarifying for the applicant, what this condition requires is that you hold a meeting and the members will decide once they determine whether to grant this application or not, to have a liaison meeting with residents. So you have to notify local residents associations, which includes the Boltons Association and Seymour Walk Association, that you're going to have this meeting, and you give them notice of the meeting so that they have time to 2 weeks notice, so they have time to put it in their diaries and make arrangements to attend. And if the meeting is held, you have to take minutes of that meeting, and they're circulated to all the parties, and you keep copies of those minutes so that if a licensing officer attends your premises, they could ask to see it to verify that you're holding those meetings. Is that understood?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
But I also request, Heidi, that Mrs. Thompson gives the manager at the restaurant an email address for the Seymour Walk.
I've done that, Chair. I've given my email address to the restaurant.
Okay, so that way they will know.
Yeah.
I just seems to make sure, has the owner received it?
Yeah,
Has he
I gave it to him in person, so I wrote it down on a bit of paper and gave it to him.
That's fine, because we wouldn't put a condition requiring Miss Thompson to do something on the license, but she's already done
No, I
that.
just wanted to inform right now
Yeah.
while we have the opportunity. That was my point.
That's fine. So that's all the questions I had. Members can decide whether they want a delivery condition or not.
Okay. We can discuss that, right?
And if it's a delivery condition, it means that in the future, if you were going to have a delivery company, that you'd make arrangements with them so that they don't cause nuisance and annoyance to their neighbours.
Mhm.
I don't know, members, were you concerned with the fire doors?
I just want to make sure they're not blocked by rubbish bags, please.
So
They need to know that it's not a place you can store things, that it has to be kept clear in case there's an emergency.
So applicants, are you aware of that? That if with your fire doors, you can't put rubbish or anything near the fire doors because of fire safety reasons.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
Okay, that's all the matters I wish to raise. I don't know whether the residents had any comments.
Oh,
Okay, thank you very
Mm.
much.
Thank you. Do our licensing officers have anything else to add?
Nothing further from licensing. Thank you, Chair.
And our governance officers, anything to add?
Nothing else to add from me.
Thank you. Well, we've reached the end of this meeting. I thank you all for attending. The committee will not announce its decision today. Instead, the hearing will now be closed and the members will retire to make our decision in private session. A summary of the decision will be sent to the parties by the governance team within 5 working days of today's hearings. Thank you very much for your time and for your presentations.
thank you. Thanks to the owners as well.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Chairman.
you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
colleagues
and-
and staff.
And we will convene in the other
And others.
room in 5 minutes.